Welcome to the world around us. And I'm your host, Yatis Caraballo. Today we're going to talk about a very sensitive topic that affects many of our families. And we try to keep secret. We try to keep it hidden. And too many family secrets eventually come out. And then what? Who gets really hurt over and over again? I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview, and then we'll go into introducing our guest. According to a 2010 report by the National Center for Victims of Crime, 9.2% children are sexually victimized. 1 in 5 are girls, and 1 in 20 are boys, ages 7 to 13. And I will tell you that it gets even earlier than that. Many of these crimes go unreported, and we're going to talk about that too. The desperate need to keep the secret hidden and the silent creates long-term trauma within a child's mind, let alone the distinctive changes it creates to the child's physical body. And we're going to talk about all of that with our guest because I want you to understand that keeping that secret is costing you more than you know. Our guest today is the founder and executive director of Crossroads for Angels, which is focused on survivors of childhood sexual abuse, violence, incest, rape, drug-facilitated sexual harassment. They offer prevention services as well as natural approach to healing while giving a new face to living successfully in trauma. We welcome Eve Cortez to the show this morning, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here.
Eve, I know that this is something that hit home very personally to you. And I am glad that you chose the world around us to come share the story behind our title today, Childhood Silence. So tell me about yourself a little bit.
So, again, Eve Cortez. I have 4 children, 4 grandchildren. I do real estate, taxes. I'm an ordained minister, and I do quite a few things business-wise.
Now, your children are small, or?
No, my children range from the age of 28 to 14.
And she looks so young. We got tricks. So Eve, tell me about this story, this hidden secret that you and me seem to share.
Yes, I know. So, from the time the earliest memory I have, I was 4 years old, I started getting sexually molested by an older brother. And that went on from the time I was, like I said, 4, I believe, was the first time I recall, until I was 8 years old. And at that time, I told him that I was going to tell, and he committed suicide the following day.
4 years old, you're very small.
Yeah.
You're innocent. You don't know about anything. All you know is about playful things and being happy, and your world comes crashing all of a sudden. What did you think?
Well, to begin with, I didn't really have a childhood because of it. So it started, of course it didn't start that way. It started by playing house, and it escalated to that point. It was the hardest thing in my life. I didn't know. I was afraid to tell. I was never threatened not to tell. However, I just knew that it was wrong. I felt it. So I never said anything. And when I did tell him that I was going to tell, I really wasn't.
But he took it seriously.
I guess.
Yeah. The guilt, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Perhaps. Did he leave a note behind?
He did not.
So he just committed suicide and left the burden on everyone. Now, at age 4, you're playing house. Anyone around?
No. Well, actually, yes. Not with us, but in the same household.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived with my mom and my dad and my 5 brothers. And this was going on right in the home while they were there. My mom's amazing. She shielded me from everything she could. However, who would think that that could happen in your own household?
And with your own brother, your own sibling.
Yes.
It's not something that comes to mind that this is going to happen if I leave my children here playing
Exactly.
together.
Yes.
It just doesn't come to a mom's mind, let alone to a 4-year-old saying, oh, I can't be left here, mommy, because, this is going to happen. That's not what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You're just thinking, okay, I'm going to play with my brother,
Yeah.
and you're happy. So, did it happen all the time?
It happened quite often. It happened on a regular basis. We teach our children about stranger danger.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Not a stranger.
over 90% of the perpetrators are somebody that's well known or a family member.
Exactly. And I'll share why I said that we share a common secret is that at the age of 5, I was also sexually molested by my older brother in the house, as she said, with everybody around us. So it's not like we're secluded or isolated from everyone. It happens very much around everyone.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's that they don't want to see it, don't care to see it, don't care to admit that it could happen, or it's just, the confidence of their siblings. Did you ever speak to your mom about it?
I did, but not until I was in my early 30s.
Not when you were small.
No,
Did you ever tell when you were little?
I did not.
You kept that secret all
I
that
did.
time.
I did. Hence, I became pregnant at 14 years old, teenage pregnancy, and I decided to seek help when I was about 19 years old. That was
Wow.
when I first started. And I went through a few therapists trying to find the right one, and eventually I did. Because even at that time, the first time I went to a therapist, I went with my mom. She was in the other room, and he talked to me briefly, and he told me that the next time I went to see him, that he wanted me to be completely naked, because that's how people tell their truth. That's when they're the most honest. Never went back to him again.
That got scary quickly.
Yeah. Insult to injury. But I eventually found someone. I was in therapy for over 20 years. And it took me forever to be able to realize that it wasn't my fault, that his suicide wasn't my fault. And had I been taught certain things, it perhaps wouldn't have happened. And we are afraid to teach our children certain things because we don't think they're old enough. But as soon as your child can communicate with you, I think that's the time for education, telling them the proper body parts and the proper names, because it's amazing.
Boo Boo Kitty don't work.
No.
The Gagas don't work. No,
it does not.
I have 4 grandchildren, and I have 4 children, and I was always very direct with them. Yeah, you play with them and all that stuff, but when it's time to tell them something, it's time to tell them something. It's time to sit down and let's talk. And it's not a thing that you're corrupting their minds, because you're not. It's not a thing of corrupting their minds. You're trying to prevent these things from happening. Because I was in the house full of family members. She was in a house full of family members. We never would have thought that these things could happen to us. Never.
Agreed.
And when it happens, you become full of rage. Did you?
Yes. I guess I totally changed my personality. I think part of who I am right now is because of what happened. The rage didn't come till I was older in life.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that I knew why certain things happened in my life.
Mhm.
The reason behind it was because of not getting the appropriate help right away.
Right.
Even so, if I would have gotten the proper help right away, certain things in my life, I believe, wouldn't have happened.
Mm. See, you go through. I went through the teenage years. I was very kind, very generous, but I had a quick temper. So you couldn't say anything to me, couldn't look at me sideways. My temper would immediately, and so I had to learn that was not okay. You can't lash out. You can't be so aggressive. You can't be mad at the world. But if you're not getting that help, if you haven't gotten that help, that's one of the results.
Absolutely.
That's one of the results. And you're constantly in a state of mind that it can happen again. It can happen again. It's this scary, fearful thing that it can happen to you again. And it could happen with that individual or some other individual. Did your family know?
No,
Did your family suspect anything?
not that I'm aware of.
So did he do it to anybody else?
No.
Just
No,
you?
Not, no. I have 5 older brothers. He was the youngest, and I was the only girl. So
Oh,
as far
okay.
as I know,
Okay.
I don't know if anything happened to him beforehand. I have no idea. I know,
Wow.
yeah, so it was,
And
was
it's not a
his part.
conversation that you've been able to have with anybody.
It's not easy.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
yeah. What has happened since you come, public with it?
So in 2013, I entered a contest. It was called Killer Confidence, and it was about women. I was divorced at the time, and it was about women that were successful and beyond any trials and tribulations that they might have had. So I entered the contest just as a business owner. I had a tax business that I had since I was 18. And we were talking about that. I got very comfortable with the director, and I shared the story with me. So
Wow.
out of about 1,100 contestants, I was the runner-up. And when I went, it was in Princeton, New Jersey, I went up to the microphone, and she tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, "You don't have to say it." And I said it. And saying it then, that's what propelled me to start the organization, to do the nonprofit,
Mhm.
because afterwards I had so many people come up to me and share what they went through.
Mm-hmm.
And me being the first person they ever said anything to.
Mhm.
So that's what made me say it. At the same time, I lost a lot of, how do I say this? Family support. It was either ignored or it was said that I did it to get attention. I mean, all sorts of things. But at the same time, I touched so many lives that it's been more than worth it.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Were you scared of saying it when you said it?
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
shaking?
My voice, kind of like that, was
Yes.
trembling. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
But it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders.
Because no matter how many years go by, every time we say our story, listen, if I wouldn't have looked up, I would have probably started crying. And I saw her do exactly the same that I did. She turned her eyes up. And that's our way of coping so that we don't cry, so that we can convey to you the story and that it still affects us.
Absolutely.
I just turned 50. Still affects me. Still affects me. I can hear his name being spoken. It still affects me. If I see a picture of him, still my knees shake. If I hear his wife just died, and when they said, "Are you coming?" it was like all over again. You start trembling. It's not a thing that goes away.
No, it doesn't. You learn how to deal with it.
You learn how to survive, and you learn how to use that to power yourself to continue to do all the great things that you're doing.
Thank you. I agree.
I appreciate everything that you're doing because now you're helping other lives and other people, and especially other children, because children have this thing that, well, I shouldn't tell. If I tell, mommy and daddy are going to be upset with me, and I don't want them mad at me. And that part was the hardest for me because I'm like daddy's little girl, and I was so close to mommy, so it was hard. But I knew it was wrong, so I had to tell. So I told my parents immediately.
Oh, wow.
My dad didn't believe it. That was his favorite son.
Yeah.
You know, he could do no harm. And to my mom was, well, Mamita, you know, I'm here for you, but you can't repeat that again. And I didn't understand. I'm 5 and I'm like, I can't repeat that again? Why? Well, what you're not going to explain it to me? So did you get that? The shh, don't tell?
I didn't come out with it till I was older.
Did you get that?
I got a lot of things. I aired out my family's dirty laundry. And I wasn't, according to them, I wasn't supposed to. To some of them. Some gave me really good support and some did not. And for the most part, it was never acknowledged.
What happened to you?
Exactly. So I did tell them individually, or once my foundation or the contest came out on TV and they saw what it was, but I never had anybody come up to me and be there. Just be there. I got that from strangers. From strangers, yeah.
You get so much support from people that don't know you.
Agreed.
From the other victims and other survivors. We become like this inner circle to each other. And we become this, hey, if you need to cry in the middle of the night, you can text me. You can call me.
Yes.
You can send that message on Facebook. I'm right here.
Yeah.
You don't need, in fact, you don't even need to tell me nothing. Send me a crying face. I understand the rest.
Well, you did that for me the other night.
Yep.
And
I knew something was wrong.
Something was off.
Yeah.
And I didn't even say anything, and you reached out. You knew. And that's all it takes sometimes, for someone just to listen to you.
Exactly.
And it's so much easier to talk to a fellow survivor than it is to speak to a doctor that we're trained to deal with that, however, never experienced it. So it's completely different in that way.
Well, and did you feel like you were being judged when you started to go to counseling?
Yeah. So she got bits and pieces at a time because I went to her 3 times a week for close to 20 years. And the more comfortable I got with her, then that's when, like, at the end, she knew my whole life story, the good, the bad, what happened and why I did certain things in my life, because I couldn't piece the puzzle pieces together. I couldn't put it together. And it took somebody else, me speaking to someone else, and realizing it myself, just being guided in a certain direction where, okay, so this is why I've been in toxic relationships. This is why I got pregnant at 14.
Right.
This is why I suffer from depression. So many things. But if you don't get that help,
it gets very out of control very quickly.
It does.
And you need to survive, so you need to get that help. And not telling. See, when I told, the females in the family were, well, why were you always playing around with him? Why were you sitting on his lap all the time? Why were you so close to him? It wasn't that this is a 40-something-year-old guy and I'm 5. I'm 5, ladies and gentlemen. You're 4. It wasn't a thing of, you know, let's support her. Let's figure out what to do. And if he's done it to somebody else, he needs to go away. It wasn't that. And the bad part was, yes, he had done it to the other females in my family. And everybody knew about it. Through the years, they knew about it.
And no one did anything.
And no one did anything. And that's where my anger came in.
Okay.
That's where because I couldn't grasp it. I couldn't understand why. You have children now.
I do.
If that were to happen to your child, in a hot split of a minute, I'm calling Popo. I'm calling the police. I'm putting them away. And if I can prove it I'm taking it to court. I want to make sure you get the max. You're not going to walk out here and not only you're doing it now, you did to me, you did to my daughter. Now you're going to go and I'm going to allow you to continue to do it because it's in the family and we got to protect the family. What? Shield? Legacy? Which legacy? It's not a good one. So what is it that you're protecting? Because it's the innocent that we have to protect. It's not the abuser. In my book. It's the innocent. It's that 4-year-old that we should have gave her a hug and figured out a way to help her. That's what we need to do.
The age difference between your situation and mine, I didn't know that the perpetrator was that much older. Mine was only, when he committed suicide, he was 16 and I was 8.
A teenager.
Yes. So, they say in a lifetime, before someone comes forward, a child molester or a pedophile will abuse at least 200 plus different people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
mine committed suicide. I don't know if there was any other one else that he did it to. However, that's why it's so important because chances are you're not the only one.
Exactly. So you have to tell. You have to tell. I don't know if it's going to tell mommy, going to tell dad. You should be able to go to tell mommy and daddy. You shouldn't have to go to a neighbor. You should be able to say, Mom, Dad, this happened to me. Regardless if you're a teenager, and we go into the teenage ages, and we're like, if I tell mommy and daddy, they're just going to kill me. I can't tell them that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Let mommy and daddy go through their whatever have to do. I don't know, slam a plate, throw a plate, break a cup, scream and holler, whatever. You know why? At the end of all of that, they're going to come back and they're going to sit with you and they're going to figure it out. But if we don't give them that chance, we can't blame them later for what continues to happen to us. Because I've had survivors come up and say, well, I never told my mom and dad, and that's why I hate them.
And you do feel that. And you do feel that.
Yeah.
You were brave. You said it at the age of 5. You told right away.
Oh, I was a tattletale. Oh, yeah.
So with me, I never said anything. So my mom is my best friend. She's my angel. She really is. However, I didn't understand why at times I resented her and felt a certain type of way towards her. She shielded me from stranger danger. She took me to school. She did everything she could possibly do. Except
you still felt that way.
I did till not too long ago. It took me a really long time to get over that.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was, again, through therapy. I told her my truth, and whatever she did with it was on her.
Yeah.
It was just releasing it.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to share it. And let them... Listen, I've heard of, well, my mom stopped talking to me. Okay. Well, my dad now hates me. Okay. What you mean, okay? Let them have their period, because you don't know if they feel some guilt or if they perhaps suspected it but didn't know how to confront it. Let them feel it. Let them feel it out. We have a right to our feelings. All of us do. And being mad or getting mad because mommy and daddy are now upset at something that you revealed to them, that's real in your life. It happened to you. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have to, in my opinion, you have to tell, regardless. And I'm telling you, I had the older women pointing at me like if I wanted my brother. That's how bad it got. And I'm thinking, I'm 5. What are y'all talking about? I didn't understand. What are you pointing at me for? What? And to this day, there's still family members that are like, you need to stop talking about that. I think that's enough.
Yeah.
How is it enough? He's still alive and he's still doing it.
I totally understand. In my case, I feel that prevention and education is key.
Exactly.
It's so much easier to let your child know what's appropriate and what isn't,
Right.
so it doesn't happen to them and they feel comfortable enough to come to you than to try to fix a broken adult.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
I mean,
And then there's the survivors that try to fix the situation themselves. Like they try to maneuver things so that it doesn't happen again. But as a little kid, I still believe you shouldn't have to have that responsibility of having to fix the problem. You shouldn't have to. You went through it. Now you need to release and to start healing.
yes.
You need to start healing. So this situation of childhood abuse, it creates long-term insecurities. My weight gain and losing weight and oh my goodness, it's crazy. Uncontrollable rage, agony, bitterness, guilt, self-recrimination, and depression, and so many more that we'll talk about when we come back. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the world around us. We are here with Eve Cortez, and we're talking about childhood silence. And we gave you a whole story about being 4 years old. 4 years old. And being sexually abused, sexually molested by a sibling. Her sibling, her own sibling. It's very traumatic for a 4-year-old, innocent 4-year-old to go through such an episode. And the consequences, the long-term consequences, we are talking about that now. And we said, do not keep quiet. Do not keep quiet. We understand your fear. We get it. We've been there. I've been there. I told my story. Been there. Don't keep quiet. Don't let it happen over and over again. Get help from someone. Someone has to validate what you're saying. Someone has to listen. Even when you think that you're not going to find someone to listen, you will find someone to listen. Keep saying it until you do. Keep saying it until you do. And as I said, in adults, it causes PTSD, major depression, which she spoke about, I spoke about, and drug abuse. Trauma is a time traveler, isn't it?
Yeah, sure is.
It doesn't stay where it happened.
Mm-mm.
It comes right along with us.
It does.
That reaches back and devours everything. But it reaches forward, and if you allow it, it devours that too. Trauma is a movie projector, constantly playing in our mind. We can see exactly the precise moment, the precise time that it happened to us. And it causes just the worst pain every time we see it over and over again.
I agree completely.
And so that's where we have to go and get the counseling, get the therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to counseling.
No, not at all.
Because you're thinking, oh, I ain't going to counseling. I ain't crazy. How am I going there? But you're not crazy. But something just happened to you and you need help. You need someone to guide you through whatever steps you have to take so that you can become whole again. Because you're not whole when this happens. When this happens, it changes you so much. What were the changes that you went through?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I became sexually active at a very early age. Was a teenage mom, and got into toxic relationships. So my take on that, and that's my personal take on it, I kept on, because of the guilt, I kept on punishing myself. So I was in abusive relationships. I abused alcohol for a while. There was a time period that I was hooked on pills, Percocets to be specific, and just anything to cope and numb the pain. And that was the things that throughout the years I've been able to get away from and see the red flags before they hit me, and make an appointment to see my therapist. And do certain things so I don't fall back into that dark space, which comes every so often still with all the help I've gotten. So
it does. You think that you're completely healed, but it just takes, I don't know,
trigger.
Anything. It could be a smell. It could be the location. It could be something that you hear your family say. I said, as soon as I hear my brother's name, I want to go under a rock. Like, I'm 50. What are you doing? I want to run under the rock. If I see his picture, I'm like frozen in space. Like, I can't move. But what has bothered me in both our cases, and in many other cases, is the lack of support. And so you have created an organization that gives just that.
Yes.
Support.
Well, right now, trying to get a building for it. Been working on it.
Nice.
Trying to do a holistic approach to the healing, which I was prescribed so many medications for everything that I found that the best things that worked for me were doing things holistically. So even just talk therapy, what I specifically do, I have about 3,000 followers, and I don't have the resources right now. I don't, but I share my story. I have people reach out to me telling me for the very first time, and then I connect them with who I have to, and wherever they're living, whatever state they're living. I mean, I've had people contact me from Africa because of social media.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere.
Absolutely.
And what we're trying to do is bring something to Atlantic City, to be specific.
Okay.
Because
you're in Atlantic County.
Yeah, correct. In Atlantic City, get a building where we can have a facility that'll have talk therapy, that'll have a psychologist in there. We'll have art therapy, drumming, dancing, just things that just get you out of that space. Because when you get into that space, you need to get out, snap out of it. So just be around fellow people that went through the same thing. And it's not limited to just women, it's for men. Because the first person that actually, after I shared my story, that told me that it had happened to him was a friend of mine, a male that
Wow.
came forward.
See?
No one knows.
See?
Yeah. So
Because we think,
yeah.
oh, boys don't go through that. Yes, they do. I just said 1 in every 20 boys goes through sexual abuse. 1 in 20. So yes, they do. Do they share it? No, they're not so open as we are to sharing things. So they carry this through their whole life. And maybe that's why they act the way they act now. But you don't know it because they're not going to share.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that he came up and told you.
Yeah, he did. He saw my story and he said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know," and told me everything. And everybody deals with pain differently.
Right.
He's been able to have a really good life, it seems like. However, you can tell when he's in pain and when he's not. And I don't believe he's gotten any therapy. He has me to talk to.
He reached out.
He reached out. That's the first step, reaching out.
Exactly.
And if someone doesn't listen, somebody else will.
Mhm.
They don't have to believe you. You have to know the truth. That's
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because it happened to you.
exactly.
They're not going to believe you because they see this well-groomed person. You know,
It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate
And
with
they're
race,
thi-
social
yeah.
status.
and
no.
they're thinking, well, no, he couldn't have done that.
Mhm.
He has a whole family. He has kids. He loves them. Yeah, he loves them all right. He was doing exactly what he did to me, to his own daughters. To his own daughters. He has 6 daughters. His stepdaughter was raped by him and had a kid by him and forced to have the kid by him. And she was a teenager when it happened. He would go in her room at night. The mom is right there. And all she said was, well, you know, ella tiene que aprender. And that means she has to learn. Learn what? Learn what? And why are you allowing this in your own home? You can't tell me you don't know. But then she said she didn't want to tell anybody because she was embarrassed. And what would her friends think of her? It's not about you, lady. It's about your daughter.
Exactly. So I get that because the family name shouldn't be
No.
tainted, and hence that's how they know me or what they know me from. And yeah, I totally understand.
And it's great that you created Crossroads for Angels. And I love the name. Because it's a crossroad.
Yeah.
You get to a certain point in your life and you're not sure. And have you gone through the suicidal thoughts?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I went through it.
Yeah.
Heck, I even attempted it. Okay? And it's not easy. Because you're at a crossroads. You're like, they don't understand me, they don't listen, they're this. And you're so angry. And you're at that crossroads. And all you need is that one angel to change it for you. That one angel. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
It could be anybody. So I'm glad. I love the
Thank
name.
you. And that's kind of how I came up with it. I was at a crossroad at that time. And the reason it's Crossroads for Angels, it's because I felt the closest you can get to an angel is a child. So
Of the
my
innocence.
innocence was taken away at that time. So the name was just fitting.
Mhm.
And
And you have support in there. You have preventive care. What else do you?
so it's mostly right now until we get everything together and get
Mhm.
the building with the correct staff.
You're mobile now. That's fine.
Yeah, pretty much. So, I get emails at 3 a.m.
I
in the
can
morning.
imagine.
Yeah, it's so what we do mostly it's education and prevention.
Okay.
I have people reach out to me, especially in the Latino community.
Mhm.
I had a case where there was a young boy and he was raped, and the mom came to me and spoke to me, and she was afraid that they were going to get deported. Little did she know all the help that she would get
Mhm.
because that happened. For her to become a citizen, The child got therapy right away. He's
Mhm.
doing great. And
Amen.
if you address it as soon as it happens, you know, because it will happen, unfortunately, at times, if you get help right away, you can grow up and be a good
Yeah.
adult
Yeah.
and have a normal
Yes.
life.
Yes.
I waited too long. I waited too long. I had the.
Do you regret waiting that long to say it?
I wish I would have said it earlier because I think it would have. I don't know. See, I can
Mm.
think anything. I think that if I would have said it earlier, and I would have gotten the proper help,
Mm.
that I wouldn't have gone through my teenage pregnancy. That I wouldn't have
Mm.
be with men that would physically abuse me because I felt like I should be punished because I did something wrong. On top of being molested, now I have the suicide hanging over my head, and I can't tell a soul.
Mhm.
So the nightmares stopped maybe not that long ago. I'll get them here and there.
Yeah.
However, for over 20 years, the nightmares were every single night.
Regardless if you're in counseling.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
that's great that you give all of this, and on top you give the resources of where they can go.
yes,
Because that's really important.
there's a lot of help.
Not just to get the counseling,
Mhm.
but to get the resources so that they know, okay, I can go to Dr. Clack, I could go to the shelter over there if they're in the streets, because a lot of these kids that are out here on the streets have gone through that.
98%
Yeah.
of prostitutes, male and
See?
female, have been sexually molested
And that's
as
why
a
they're on the
child,
streets.
and that's where they're on the street.
Yep.
Hence, that's why they do the drugs.
Yep.
It's such.
And they can't get past that.
Yeah.
So if they have the
Resources.
support, they have the, hey, I'm here with you, and they get the education, and they get the resources, and they get the counseling, they can overcome.
It's a life changer.
Yeah, because you don't want to just exist. We were just talking about it.
Exactly. You want to live.
You want to live. You want to feel every experience, but feel it in a happy way.
Exactly.
You don't want to feel it with all that anger. You don't want to, I'm existing because I have to. Because I have 4 kids and 4 grandkids and I have to take care of them. That's not what you want to do. You want to live. You want to really live. And you've gone through the living. You've gone through some really great blessings. Your children,
Absolutely.
your relationships, your friends, your family. Because even the family that didn't support you, the ones that did, I'm sure, are even closer now
Absolutely.
to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's amazing. It really is.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you could be able to speak to them and tell them.
Yeah, I feel like I'm an open book. I say a little too much, but there's no such thing in my world.
But it helps.
Yeah, it does.
It helps.
It helps.
And you might not tell, like, I'll sit and I'll give just little bits here and there.
Gotcha.
But at the end of the day, all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh, I got the whole story, although it's little bits and pieces.
Absolutely.
I kind of know her a little bit more. Oh, now I know she's not
Yeah.
okay, now I know why she's that way.
Exactly. So it really puts things in perspective for the family and for your friends. The bouts of depression, the not answering the phone calls, the being in bed for a few days if I have that option because the pain is so bad. So the people that know me and love me, they know. The ones that don't understand it, well, and that's just on them.
Yeah,
pretty
you
much.
can't do much for them. But I am really thankful that you created that organization.
Thank you.
And
It's my heart. It's my passion. It really is.
Where exactly are you looking?
Okay, so I'm looking in Atlantic City.
You want to stay there?
I want to stay in Atlantic City because Atlantic City is one of the places where it's easiest to do the child trafficking. And there's a lot of women on the street and whatnot.
Yes.
And I want to cater to everybody. It doesn't matter. But it ended in Atlantic City. I literally go by the street every so often where we used to live. Where my brother committed suicide. They knocked down the building. And I want to stay in the area. I really want to stay in the area. So just we'll see. God, it's in God's hands. I'm
Wow.
just waiting.
Question.
Yes.
And you're not going to cry. I
Try not
promise.
to.
How do you feel about your brother being gone?
Oh, good question. I missed him. He was the closest one to me. He's the one that showed me the most love. This is the 5-year-old, 4-year-old speaking right now.
Mm-hmm.
He left me, and I didn't understand why.
Mm-hmm.
So much for someone to try to comprehend, especially someone that's only 8 years old at the time when this happens. And I forgave him. I had to. So I forgave him. I visit his gravesite. He's buried next to my dad right now. And I think forgiveness, I needed to forgive him, forgive myself in order to get to where I'm at. Had I not forgiven him, I would be so bitter,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So my mom has pictures of him in her house.
So
She
you see them.
holds his, it's kind of like a shrine for him. And it doesn't hurt anymore. It doesn't sting, but I had to learn to let go and forgive. Forgiveness was a big part of my healing.
Yeah, that 5-year-old agrees with you because they are your everything.
Yeah.
Your sibling is your everything, especially if it's a man. That's like your superhero. You're looking up to them like, that's my brother right there. Yeah, he's the one. He protects me. He plays with me. He does, and you never expect that.
Exactly.
So yeah, that 5-year-old agrees with you. I miss my brother, and I miss the kind part of my brother. I miss the playing of my brother. I miss being able to talk to my brother. But I had to learn to eventually forgive.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time.
It took me, it feels like what it feels like forever.
Oh man,
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
hold that anger in there. You're like, I'm never gonna forgive you. But you have to, because if not, you're drowning yourself.
Yeah.
You're doing that existing thing and not living.
Yeah. At times I feel like it's either swim or sink, you know, and I feel like I'm just holding my head barely above water. And that's when I do my best work though. That's when I reach out to people. That's when I'll post something on my Facebook page or my website, and all of a sudden I'm getting calls from survivors, and just, you know, it's happening to their kids, it's happened to their grandkids. What can they do? What are the resources? And that to me is so fulfilling. It's nonprofit. I get nothing out of it. I can do it 24/7, and I'm so grateful. And
I
I feel
said
like
something
Go ahead.
though, because you said the grandparents. So you can help these kids that come to you, but you can also help the parents that they know something has happened, or they kind of know that something happened, and you can help them, guide them
And
to-
there's signs
to how to address the
Exactly.
situation.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so there's definitely signs that if you learn the signs, I believe, I came from Puerto Rico when I was 5. So I believe had my parents been more educated in the subject, they would have seen the signs. I see them now, but back then, looking back at it, I wouldn't have been able to tell. Why would you be so vigilant and
Right.
be keeping your eyes out on your daughter and son playing house or playing
It's
Atari
innocent.
or laying on the couch together or whatnot. So my biggest thing is education, talking about it. You know, if you teach your kids,
Exactly.
you can stop it. And that's what we want to do. We want to stop it.
Are you able to speak if someone wanted to hire you and bring you to speak to their school?
Absolutely. So it's coming out in the Atlantic County Women's magazine. I do it for free. I do
nice.
it. I do it
Very
for
nice.
free. I do it for
Very
free
nice.
because I'm trying to share my story.
Nothing wrong with that.
I've gone to churches. I've done it at
Excellent.
churches, schools, community programs.
Excellent.
So I just go and I say what happened to me, and I'm in a little table at the end. If they
Perfect.
want to talk to me, they get my card. They come up, and the people. It's unbelievable, the people that come up at the end and they're crying and they're like, can I talk to you? Can I reach out to you? And it's just, I'm giving back.
Yeah.
So what happened to me, as bad as it was a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise, I'm going to say, because it was for a purpose. It was for a greater purpose, It was to help others. So
we were talking in the dressing room
Yeah.
about sometimes you just got to stay still
exactly.
because God has a plan.
Agreed.
And God cleans out your path. He just cleans it out. He sweeps it for you. All you have to do is follow him.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing. Just follow him. And at that end of that road is where that big blessing he's going to give to you. And you're not going to know that it's coming.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, oh, when am I going to be done with this? Oh, my goodness. This is
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I'm angry all the time. And all of a sudden, just stay still. Just stop. Stop the complaining. Stop the whining. Take a breath. And here it is. Here it is. And Crossroads for Angel was your blessing.
It is.
Because you're helping other people. So I am really, really glad that you're doing that.
Thank you.
It's not a great thing what we went through, but it's a link between
Absolutely.
us. And we understand. And just like I did the other day, I'm always going to be there for you, and you know it.
Is that all I'm seeing here?
So, it's just a thing of finding an inner circle, as I call it.
Yeah. Your tribe.
Yes.
Yes.
That village of people that say, Beatriz, you can be a stubborn person sometimes. You can be difficult sometimes. But you know what? I still love you. I still love you, Eve.
I've heard you with politics and whatnot.
Yes.
And you can be really stern
Yes.
and rough. And I'm like, oh. But, I got to know both sides of you.
Right.
And,
Right.
one is strong and no BS. And the other one is
the reason why.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why Eve is Eve. There's a reason why Eve exists and lives and thrives. There's a reason why Eve is powerful. She has a reason. She has a purpose. And she's doing it through Crossroads for Angels. I really appreciate you coming today.
Thank you.
It's
Thanks for
just
having
been
me.
excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. And you have to remember not to be afraid to go and tell. Go and tell. Oh, mommy, daddy, auntie, I don't know, your other sibling, go tell. You have any last words you want to tell?
Prevention is key. If anybody wants to talk to me, I have a website, and you also get my personal number to reach out. And also my Facebook page is called Crossroad for Angels Inc. You can find me there, and it'll direct you to my mailing list, different stories. And again, we have to protect our children. So education and prevention is definitely key in all of this.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming to The World Around Us.